Leadership isn't about power or dominance, it's about mastering yourself first. As Marcus Aurelius once wrote, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. These words, written nearly 2,000 years ago, still hold immense relevance for leaders today. In a world filled with constant change, uncertainty, and pressure, the ability to lead with strength and grace is more critical than ever. But what does it truly mean to lead this way? It's about resilience in the face of adversity, wisdom in decision-making, and emotional balance when challenges arise. It's about understanding what's within your control and letting go of what isn't. And it's about anchoring your leadership in virtue, doing what's right, even when it's hard. Throughout history, Stoic philosophy has provided leaders with timeless tools to navigate these complexities. Today, we'll explore how these principles can help you lead not just effectively, but with purpose and integrity. Whether you're leading a team, an organization, or even just yourself, these insights will empower you to face challenges with clarity and confidence. So let's dive in and discover how the wisdom of the Stoics can transform the way you lead. What does it mean to lead with a Stoic mindset? At its core, it's about grounding your leadership in reason, virtue, and emotional resilience. A Stoic leader doesn't react impulsively to challenges or get swept away by external pressures. Instead, they cultivate an inner clarity that allows them to navigate even the most turbulent situations with calm and purpose. This mindset isn't just about staying composed, it's about making decisions rooted in wisdom and integrity, even when the stakes are high. Take Marcus Aurelius, for example. As a Roman emperor, he faced immense challenges from political upheaval to military conflicts. Yet, through it all, he emphasized the importance of self-discipline and inner reflection. In his writings, he often reminded himself to focus on what he could control and let go of what he couldn't. This focus on agency and self-mastery is a cornerstone of Stoic leadership. It's not about ignoring emotions, but about understanding them and ensuring they don't cloud your judgment. Now, let's bring this into the modern world. Imagine a CEO navigating a company through a financial crisis. While others might panic or make hasty decisions, a Stoic leader would assess the situation with clarity, prioritize actions within their control, and communicate with transparency and resolve. They wouldn't let fear dictate their choices. Instead, they'd lead with a steady hand, inspiring confidence in their team and stakeholders. This ability to remain grounded under pressure is what sets a Stoic leader apart. So, how can you begin to align your own leadership mindset with Stoic principles? Start by asking yourself, what's within my control? What actions align with my values? And how can I respond to challenges with both strength and grace? These questions aren't just theoretical, they're practical tools to help you build a leadership style that's both effective and deeply rooted in Stoic wisdom. Emotions are inevitable, but how we respond to them defines our leadership. This is where Stoic philosophy offers a powerful tool: cognitive detachment. It's not about suppressing emotions or pretending they don't exist. Instead, it's about creating space between what you feel and how you act. Think of it as stepping back, observing your emotions like clouds passing in the sky, acknowledging them, but not letting them dictate your decisions. This practice allows you to lead with clarity, even in the midst of chaos. Epictetus, one of Stoicism's greatest teachers, put it this way: it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. External events, whether it's a missed deadline, a heated argument, or a sudden change in plans, are outside your control. What's within your control is your response. And this is where emotional mastery begins. By training yourself to observe your emotions without being consumed by them, you gain the ability to act from a place of reason rather than impulse. Let's take a practical example. Imagine you're a leader facing a team conflict. Tensions are high, voices are raised, and emotions are running wild. A Stoic leader doesn't get swept up in the storm. Instead, they pause, take a breath, and focus on understanding the situation objectively. They ask themselves, what's really happening here? What can I control? And what's beyond my influence? By staying composed, they model the kind of calm, rational behavior that can de-escalate the situation and guide the team toward a constructive resolution. Now think about your own leadership journey. What emotions tend to challenge you the most? Is it frustration when things don't go as planned? Anxiety about making the right decision? Or perhaps anger when faced with opposition? Whatever it is, consider this. How can you respond more stoically? The next time you feel those emotions rising, try this simple exercise. Pause for a moment, observe what you're feeling without judgment. Then ask yourself, is this emotion serving me or is it clouding my judgment? By practicing this kind of self-awareness, you can begin to lead not just with strength but with grace. Picture this. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, once wrote a letter to his friend Lucilius, offering advice that would echo through the ages. He said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." At its core, this statement is a reminder to focus on what we can control, our thoughts, actions, and responses, rather than being consumed by external circumstances that lie beyond our influence. This is the essence of the Stoic dichotomy of control, a concept that remains as relevant today as it was in ancient Rome. For leaders, this principle is a cornerstone of effective decision-making. The dichotomy of control teaches us to distinguish between what's within our power, our choices, attitudes, and values, and what's outside of it, market fluctuations, competitors' actions, or even the opinions of others. A leader who masters this distinction doesn't waste energy on things they can't change. Instead, they channel their efforts into what truly matters, their own integrity, vision, and ability to adapt. Take, for example, a modern CEO navigating a turbulent market. They can't control the economy or consumer trends, but they can control how they respond. Do they panic and make reactive decisions? Or do they stay grounded in their values, reassess their strategy, and lead their team with clarity and purpose? The Stoic approach isn't about ignoring external challenges. It's about recognizing that our power lies in how we choose to face them. So, here's a question to reflect on. What aspects of your leadership are within your control, and how can you let go of the rest? It's easy to get caught up in the noise of external pressures, but true strength comes from focusing on what you can influence. By doing so, you not only lead with greater effectiveness, but also inspire those around you to do the same. This is the Stoic art of leadership, leading with strength and grace by mastering the balance between action and acceptance. Epictetus once said, "Virtue is the highest good, the foundation of all things." For a Stoic leader, virtue isn't just a lofty ideal, it's the bedrock of every decision, every action, and every interaction. But what does virtue actually mean in the context of leadership? Stoicism breaks it down into 4 core qualities: wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. Let's unpack each of these because understanding them is key to leading with strength and grace. Wisdom is the ability to make sound judgments, to see the bigger picture, and to act with clarity even in the face of uncertainty. It's about knowing what's within your control and what isn't, and focusing your energy where it truly matters. Courage, on the other hand, isn't just about bravery in the face of danger. It's about standing firm in your principles, even when it's unpopular or uncomfortable. Justice is fairness and integrity, ensuring that your decisions benefit not just you, but everyone you lead. And temperance, that's the art of self-control, of balancing ambition with humility, and avoiding the pitfalls of excess. Take, for example, a leader who chooses integrity over short-term gains. Imagine a CEO who's offered a lucrative deal that would boost profits but compromise the company's ethical standards. A Stoic leader grounded in virtue would reject that deal not out of fear, but out of a deep commitment to justice and temperance. They'd prioritize long-term trust over fleeting success, knowing that true leadership is built on principles, not shortcuts. Now, here's a question for you. Which of these Stoic virtues do you most need to strengthen in your own leadership? Is it wisdom to navigate complex challenges with clarity, courage to stand by your values when the pressure mounts, justice to ensure fairness in your decisions? Or temperance to resist the pull of ego and excess? Reflect on this for a moment, because the first step to growth is knowing where to begin. Picture this: Marcus Aurelius, one of history's most revered Stoic leaders, ruling the Roman Empire during a time of constant war, political intrigue, and personal loss. Despite the weight of his responsibilities, he faced every challenge with unwavering composure. He didn't just endure adversity, he embraced it. In his private writings, later known as Meditations, he repeatedly emphasized the importance of accepting what life throws at you, not as a burden, but as an opportunity to grow. This is the essence of amor fati, a Latin phrase meaning love of fate. It's not about resigning yourself to hardship, it's about finding meaning and strength in it. Take a moment to think about a modern leader who embodies this principle. Imagine a CEO whose company faced a devastating setback, a failed product launch, a market crash, or even a public scandal. Instead of crumbling under the pressure, they chose to see the failure as a chance to learn, adapt, and rebuild. They didn't waste energy blaming others or dwelling on what went wrong. Instead, they focused on what they could control, using the experience to emerge wiser and more resilient. That's the power of amor fati in action, the ability to transform adversity into fuel for growth. But how can we apply this in our own lives? Start by shifting your perspective. When faced with a challenge, ask yourself, what can this situation teach me? How can it make me stronger? Stoicism teaches us that while we can't always control what happens to us, we can always control how we respond. By embracing amor fati, we stop seeing obstacles as setbacks and start seeing them as stepping stones. Every difficulty becomes a chance to practice patience, courage, and resilience. So, here's a question to reflect on. How can you begin to see your own challenges not as burdens but as opportunities? What small step can you take today to start embracing your fate with gratitude and strength? The path to resilience isn't about avoiding hardship, it's about learning to thrive within it. How often are you fully present as a leader? It's a question worth asking, because presence, the ability to be fully engaged in the moment, is one of the most powerful yet often overlooked tools in leadership. The Stoics understood this deeply. They believed that mindfulness wasn't just a personal practice, it was a cornerstone of effective leadership. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, often wrote about the value of time and attention, reminding us that these are the most precious resources we have. He said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." For leaders, this means that every moment of distraction or half-hearted engagement is a missed opportunity to inspire, guide, and connect with others. Being present isn't just about showing up physically, it's about showing up mentally and emotionally. It's about listening deeply, observing keenly, and responding thoughtfully. Think about it. When you're fully present, you're better equipped to make decisions, to understand the needs of your team, and to lead with clarity and intention. But let's be honest, staying present isn't always easy. We live in a world full of distractions, from endless notifications to the constant pull of multitasking. So how can you cultivate this kind of presence in your leadership? One practical step is to set aside distractions during meetings or conversations. Turn off your phone, close your laptop, and focus entirely on the person or task in front of you. It's a small change, but it sends a powerful message that you value this moment and the people in it. Another approach is to practice mindfulness exercises, even if just for a few minutes a day. These can help you train your mind to stay anchored in the present, rather than drifting into the past or future. What steps can you take to cultivate greater presence in your leadership? Maybe it's starting your day with a moment of reflection or setting clear boundaries around your time and attention. Whatever it is, remember that presence isn't just a skill, it's a gift you give to yourself and to those you lead. When you're fully present, you're not just leading, you're creating a space where others feel seen, heard, and valued. And isn't that what great leadership is all about? Epictetus once said, "It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows." This simple yet profound statement cuts to the heart of one of the greatest challenges leaders face, the danger of ego. In Stoic philosophy, humility isn't seen as a weakness or a lack of confidence. It's a strength, a deliberate choice to remain grounded and open to growth. When a leader allows their ego to take the reins, they risk losing sight of what truly matters: the collective effort, the shared vision, and the ability to adapt and learn. Take, for example, a leader who consistently deflects praise to their team. Think of someone like Nelson Mandela, who, despite his monumental achievements, often spoke of the sacrifices and contributions of others. By doing so, he didn't diminish his authority, he strengthened it. People don't follow leaders who seek the spotlight. They follow those who shine it on others, creating a culture of mutual respect and shared purpose. Humility, in this sense, isn't about downplaying your abilities or shrinking into the background. It's about recognizing that leadership is a collaborative effort. It's about knowing when to step forward and when to step back, when to speak and when to listen. When you lead with humility, you demonstrate that you value the strengths and perspectives of those around you, fostering trust and loyalty in the process. So here's a question to reflect on. How can you practice humility in your leadership role without undermining your authority? It starts by shifting your focus from proving yourself to empowering others. It's about being secure enough in your abilities to acknowledge that you don't have all the answers, and that's okay. True leadership isn't about being the hero, it's about creating an environment where everyone feels capable of being one. Clear decisions come from a clear mind. This simple truth lies at the heart of Stoic philosophy, especially when it comes to leadership. Think about it. How often do we make choices under pressure, clouded by emotions or distractions? The Stoics believed that clarity of thought was essential for effective decision-making, and they developed practical tools to achieve it. One of the most powerful practices they used was journaling. By writing down their thoughts, they could untangle their emotions, identify biases, and focus on what truly mattered. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, famously used this practice. His personal writings, later compiled as meditations, reveal how he reflected on his actions, examined his motivations, and sought to align his decisions with his principles. It wasn't just about recording events, it was about cultivating self-awareness and wisdom. In today's fast-paced world, this practice remains just as relevant. Imagine a leader facing a high-stakes decision, perhaps whether to pivot their company's strategy or let go of a long-time team member. By taking a moment to step back, reflect, and write down their thoughts, they can cut through the noise of stress and uncertainty. Journaling allows them to weigh options objectively, consider the long-term consequences, and stay grounded in their values. It's not about overthinking, it's about creating space for clarity. But journaling isn't the only tool. Stoicism also emphasizes the importance of reflection, pausing to evaluate your actions and decisions. This doesn't mean second-guessing yourself endlessly. Instead, it's about learning from experience and refining your approach. A modern leader might take 5 minutes at the end of each day to ask, what went well? What could I have done differently? How can I improve tomorrow? These small, consistent acts of reflection build the mental discipline needed to make better decisions over time. So, what practices can help you make clearer decisions? Start by setting aside a few minutes each day to write. It doesn't have to be formal or lengthy, just a space to process your thoughts. Reflect on your choices, not with judgment, but with curiosity. Ask yourself, what's within my control? What's truly important here? And most importantly, how can I act with integrity and purpose? These Stoic habits don't just improve decision-making, they cultivate the kind of calm, focused mindset that inspires confidence in others. After all, a leader who thinks clearly leads with strength and grace. Can a Stoic leader also be empathetic? At first glance, Stoicism might seem at odds with empathy, given its emphasis on emotional resilience and self-control. But the truth is, Stoicism doesn't ask us to shut off our humanity, it asks us to channel it wisely. A Stoic leader isn't someone who ignores the feelings of others. They're someone who understands those feelings deeply, without letting them derail their own sense of purpose or clarity. Take Seneca, one of Stoicism's most influential voices. In his letters, he often wrote about compassion, urging his readers to recognize the struggles of others and offer support without being consumed by their pain. He believed that true strength lies in understanding others' perspectives, even when those perspectives are difficult or uncomfortable. This balance between empathy and emotional stability is what makes Stoic leadership so powerful. Imagine a leader faced with a team member who's struggling with a personal crisis. A Stoic leader wouldn't dismiss the issue or become overwhelmed by it. Instead, they'd acknowledge the pain, offer support, and help the team member find a way forward, all while maintaining their own emotional equilibrium. This approach isn't about being cold or detached. It's about being present, grounded, and effective, even in the face of difficulty. So, how can you lead with both empathy and strength? Start by practicing active listening. Truly hear what others are saying, not just their words, but the emotions behind them. Then, respond with clarity and kindness, offering solutions without losing sight of your own values and goals. This is the essence of Stoic leadership, understanding the human experience while staying true to your own principles. Think about it. How can you apply this balance in your own life or leadership role? How can you show empathy without compromising your ability to make tough decisions? These are the questions that can transform the way you lead, blending strength and grace in a way that inspires others and leaves a lasting impact. Epictetus once said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." This simple yet profound statement reminds us that leadership isn't just about words, it's about aligning your actions with your values. Imagine a leader who promises to prioritize their team's well-being but fails to follow through when challenges arise. Over time, their words lose weight and trust begins to erode. On the other hand, think of a leader who consistently shows up, keeps their promises, and acts in ways that reflect their stated values. That's the kind of leader people trust, respect, and willingly follow. Consistency is the bridge between intention and impact. It's not about being perfect or never making mistakes. It's about showing up with integrity day after day, even when it's hard. Take, for example, a modern leader like Satya Nadella, CEO of Microsoft. When he took the helm, he committed to fostering a culture of empathy and collaboration. Over the years, he didn't just talk about these values, he embedded them into the company's practices, policies, and decision-making. His consistency in aligning actions with words has been a cornerstone of his leadership success, earning him immense trust and credibility. So, how can you demonstrate greater consistency in your leadership? Start by identifying the values that matter most to you. What principles do you want to guide your decisions and actions? Once you've defined them, make a conscious effort to live them out, even in small, everyday moments. Whether it's showing up on time, honoring commitments, or treating everyone with respect, these consistent actions build a foundation of trust that others can rely on. Remember, leadership isn't about grand gestures, it's about the steady, reliable habits that show people they can count on you. Picture this: 2,000 years ago, the Stoic philosopher Seneca sat down to write a letter to his friend Lucilius. In it, he shared a simple yet profound truth. We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak. This ancient wisdom still resonates today, especially for leaders who aim to lead with strength and grace. In Stoic philosophy, listening isn't just a skill. It's an act of wisdom, a way to cultivate understanding and connection in a world often dominated by noise and haste. For Stoic leaders, the art of listening goes beyond simply hearing words. It's about truly paying attention, setting aside ego, and focusing on the person in front of you. Think about it. How often do we listen to respond rather than to understand? Stoicism teaches us to shift that mindset. By prioritizing understanding over being understood, leaders can create an environment where people feel valued and heard. This isn't just about being kind, it's about building trust, fostering collaboration, and making wiser decisions. After all, how can you lead effectively if you don't truly know the people you're leading? Let's bring this to life with a practical example. Imagine a team in conflict, tensions running high, and everyone talking over one another. A Stoic leader steps into this situation not with a commanding voice but with a quiet presence. They listen not just to the words but to the emotions, the unspoken concerns, the underlying fears. By doing so, they uncover the root of the problem, not just the surface-level arguments. This kind of active listening doesn't just resolve conflicts, it transforms them into opportunities for growth and deeper connection. It's a reminder that sometimes the most powerful thing a leader can do is simply listen. So here's a question to reflect on. How can you become a better listener as a leader? It might start with small steps like pausing before you respond, asking clarifying questions, or even just being fully present in conversations. The Stoics remind us that true leadership isn't about having all the answers. It's about having the humility to listen, learn, and grow alongside those you lead. Change is the nature of the universe. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, reminding us that nothing remains static, and resistance to change is resistance to life itself. For Stoic leaders, this principle isn't just a philosophical idea. It's a practical guide for navigating uncertainty with clarity and composure. When faced with upheaval, whether in their personal lives or at the helm of an organization, Stoic leaders don't react with panic or frustration. Instead, they focus on what they can control: their mindset, their decisions, and their ability to respond with purpose. Take, for example, a modern leader steering a company through a merger. Mergers are inherently chaotic new systems. Shifting roles and cultural clashes can easily derail even the most seasoned teams. A Stoic leader in this scenario doesn't waste energy lamenting the uncertainty or resisting the inevitable. Instead, they assess the situation with detachment, asking themselves, what can I do to make this transition smoother? How can I support my team through this change? By focusing on actionable steps rather than the emotional whirlwind, they create stability where others might sow confusion. So how can you approach change with a Stoic mindset? Start by reframing your perspective. Change isn't something to fear. It's an opportunity to grow, to adapt, and to demonstrate resilience. When you feel the ground shifting beneath you, pause and ask, what aspects of this situation are within my control? Then channel your energy into those areas, letting go of the rest. This deliberate, measured approach not only helps you stay grounded, but also inspires those around you to do the same. After all, leadership isn't just about making decisions. it's about setting the tone for how others respond to challenges. And in times of change, a calm, purposeful leader is a beacon of strength and grace. How can you be both authoritative and approachable? At first glance, these qualities might seem at odds. Authority often conjures images of distance and control, while approachability suggests warmth and openness. But Stoicism offers a powerful framework for balancing these traits, showing us that true leadership isn't about choosing one over the other. Instead, it's about harmonizing strength with humility, confidence with compassion. Epictetus, one of Stoicism's most influential thinkers, emphasized the importance of treating others with respect, regardless of their status or position. He believed that a leader's authority should never come at the cost of their humanity. In his teachings, he often reminded us that every person we interact with is worthy of dignity and consideration. This Stoic principle challenges us to lead not from a place of superiority, but from a place of service where our strength is used to uplift, not to dominate. Take, for example, the leadership style of Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king. As emperor of Rome, he wielded immense power, yet his writings reveal a deep commitment to fairness and understanding. He didn't rely on fear or intimidation to command respect. Instead, he led by example, demonstrating that true authority comes from integrity and a genuine concern for others. His ability to balance strength with openness made him not just a ruler but a trusted guide for his people. So, how can you refine your approach to authority? Start by reflecting on how you interact with those around you. Are you leading with empathy, or are you letting the weight of your role create unnecessary barriers? True leadership isn't about being unapproachable, it's about being someone others can trust and turn to, even in the most challenging moments. By embracing the Stoic ideal of balancing strength with openness, you can cultivate a style of leadership that inspires respect and fosters connection. How might you adjust your approach to better embody this balance in your own life? Seneca once wrote, "Each day, acquire something that will fortify you against poverty, against death, indeed against other misfortunes as well." Reflection, he believed, was the key to fortifying the mind and spirit. For Stoic leaders, this practice isn't just a habit, it's a cornerstone of growth and resilience. Every day presents opportunities to learn, to adapt, and to refine how we lead. But how often do we pause to truly examine our actions, decisions, and their outcomes? Self-reflection allows us to step back, assess our progress, and identify where we can improve. It's not about dwelling on mistakes, but about understanding them, learning from them, and moving forward with greater clarity and purpose. One practical way to incorporate this into your leadership journey is by keeping a leadership journal. At the end of each day, take just a few minutes to write down what went well, what challenges arose, and how you responded. Were your actions aligned with your values? Did you remain calm under pressure? Over time, this simple practice can reveal patterns, highlight growth areas, and remind you of your progress. It's a tool that helps you lead not just with your mind, but with intention and self-awareness. So, what can you learn from reflecting on your leadership daily? Perhaps you'll uncover hidden strengths or recognize recurring challenges that need addressing. Maybe you'll gain a clearer sense of your priorities or discover new ways to inspire your team. The act of reflection itself is a quiet but powerful form of leadership, one that strengthens not only you but also those who look to you for guidance. Purpose gives direction to leadership. Without a clear sense of why we lead, our actions can become scattered, reactive, or even meaningless. The Stoics understood this deeply. They believed that true leadership begins with aligning our actions to a higher purpose, one that transcends personal gain or fleeting ambitions. Marcus Aurelius, one of history's most renowned Stoic leaders, often reflected on this in his writings. In Meditations, he wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one. This simple yet profound statement reminds us that leadership isn't about titles or accolades. It's about embodying a purpose that serves others and contributes to the greater good. Think about how Marcus Aurelius led the Roman Empire during one of its most challenging periods. He didn't rely on power or prestige to guide his decisions. Instead, he rooted his leadership in a sense of duty and responsibility to his people. His purpose wasn't to enrich himself or expand his empire for the sake of dominance. It was to create stability, justice, and peace. This alignment between his actions and his higher purpose allowed him to navigate crises with clarity and resilience, even when the odds seemed insurmountable. But what does this look like in practice for us today? Consider the example of a purpose-driven leader in the modern world, someone like Malala Yousafzai. Her leadership isn't defined by authority or position, but by her unwavering commitment to education and equality. Despite facing immense adversity, she continues to advocate for her purpose, inspiring millions to take action. Her leadership is a testament to the Stoic idea that when we align our actions with a meaningful purpose, we not only lead effectively but also create lasting impact. So, what is your leadership purpose? It doesn't have to be grand or world-changing. It could be as simple as fostering trust within your team, creating a positive work environment, or mentoring others to reach their potential. The key is to identify what truly matters to you and let that guide your decisions. When your leadership is rooted in purpose, you'll find that challenges become opportunities and setbacks become lessons. Purpose doesn't just give direction, it gives meaning to every step of the journey. Epictetus once said, "No great thing is created suddenly, any more than a bunch of grapes or a fig." If you tell me that you desire a fig, I answer you that there must be time. Let it first blossom, then bear fruit, then ripen. This timeless wisdom reminds us that patience is not just a virtue, it's a necessity for effective leadership. Stoic leaders understand that rushing decisions or forcing outcomes often leads to mistakes, while patience allows clarity and opportunity to emerge naturally. Think about a modern leader navigating a competitive market. They might have a groundbreaking idea, but instead of rushing to launch, they wait for the right moment when the market is ready, resources are aligned, and the team is prepared. This isn't passivity, it's strategic patience. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control and let go of what we cannot. By embracing patience, leaders create space for thoughtful action rather than impulsive reactions. So, how can you cultivate patience in your own leadership? Start by recognizing that not everything requires an immediate response. Pause, reflect, and ask yourself, is this decision urgent or can it wait? Are you reacting out of fear or are you choosing the best course of action? Small moments of patience, like listening fully before speaking or resisting the urge to micromanage, can build the resilience needed for bigger challenges. Patience is a skill, and like any skill, it grows with practice. The next time you feel the pressure to act quickly, remember Epictetus's fig. Great things take time, and so do great leaders. Do you take full responsibility for your leadership? It's a question worth asking because in Stoicism, accountability isn't just a duty, it's a hallmark of true strength. The Stoics believed that to lead with grace and resilience, you must first own every decision, every outcome, and every mistake. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, wrote extensively about this idea. He argued that a leader who refuses to shift blame or make excuses is one who commands respect and inspires trust. Why? Because taking responsibility isn't about admitting weakness, it's about demonstrating the courage to face the consequences of your actions, no matter how difficult they may be. Think about a leader you admire. What sets them apart isn't just their ability to succeed, it's their willingness to stand tall in the face of failure. A great example is Abraham Lincoln. During the Civil War, Lincoln faced countless setbacks and criticisms, yet he never shied away from taking responsibility for the decisions he made, even when they were unpopular. His ability to own his actions, both the triumphs and the missteps, was a testament to his strength as a leader. It's a reminder that true leadership isn't about perfection, it's about accountability. So, how can you take greater responsibility in your role? Start by reflecting on your actions and their outcomes. Are there areas where you've been quick to blame others or circumstances? Stoicism teaches us that while we can't control everything that happens, we can always control how we respond. Taking responsibility means embracing that power, owning your choices, learning from your mistakes, and using them as stepping stones to grow stronger. It's not always easy, but it's the path to leading with both strength and grace. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The art of living is more like wrestling than dancing, because an artful life requires being prepared to meet and withstand sudden and unexpected attacks." At its core, this wisdom reminds us that simplicity is not about avoiding challenges, but about meeting them with clarity and focus. Stoic leaders understand this deeply. They know that overcomplicating decisions or actions only leads to confusion, wasted energy, and missed opportunities. Instead, they embrace the beauty of simplicity, a principle that allows them to act decisively and lead effectively, even in the face of complexity. Think about a modern leader tasked with turning around a struggling company. Instead of introducing a flood of new initiatives, they might focus on identifying the one or two core issues causing the most harm. By streamlining processes, cutting unnecessary steps, and prioritizing clear communication, they create a foundation for sustainable growth. This approach doesn't just solve problems, it empowers teams, reduces stress, and builds trust. Simplicity, in this case, becomes a superpower. So, how can you simplify your leadership approach? Start by asking yourself, what truly matters? What are the essential goals, and what can be let go? Often, we clutter our lives and leadership with unnecessary tasks, distractions, or overthinking. The Stoic leader cuts through the noise, focusing on what's within their control and aligning their actions with their values. Simplicity isn't about doing less for the sake of it, it's about doing what truly matters with purpose and precision. Seneca, one of the most celebrated Stoic philosophers, once wrote in his letters that gratitude is not just a virtue, it's a practice, a daily habit that grounds us in the present and reminds us of what truly matters. For Stoic leaders, gratitude isn't just a fleeting emotion. It's a tool for resilience, a way to stay centered amid challenges, and a means to inspire those around them. When leaders cultivate gratitude, they create an environment where people feel valued, seen, and motivated to give their best. Take, for example, a leader who makes it a point to express appreciation for their team's efforts, even during tough times. This isn't just about saying thank you, it's about acknowledging the hard work, the sacrifices, and the unique contributions each person brings to the table. A Stoic leader understands that gratitude isn't reserved for grand achievements or perfect outcomes. It's found in the small, everyday moments, the effort, the persistence, and the willingness to show up even when things aren't easy. This kind of gratitude doesn't just uplift others, it also keeps the leader grounded, reminding them of the collective strength and purpose that drives the team forward. But gratitude isn't just about outward expression, it's also an inward practice. Stoic leaders use gratitude as a lens to reframe their own challenges. Instead of focusing on what's lacking, they train themselves to see what's already present, what's working, and what's worth celebrating. This shift in perspective doesn't erase difficulties, but it does make them easier to navigate. Gratitude becomes a source of fuel, a reminder of why the work they're doing matters. So, as you reflect on your own leadership journey, ask yourself, what are you grateful for? Is it the support of your team, the lessons learned from setbacks, or the opportunity to make a meaningful impact? Gratitude isn't just a feeling, it's a choice, one that can transform not only how you lead, but how you experience the world around you. Discipline is the foundation of effective leadership. Without it, even the most charismatic or visionary leaders can falter when faced with challenges. Stoic leaders understand this deeply, and they prioritize self-discipline as a non-negotiable part of their daily lives. It's not just about willpower, it's about creating habits and systems that align with their values and goals. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, put it simply, "No man is free who is not master of himself." This mastery begins with the small, consistent choices we make every day. Think about the modern leader who wakes up early, exercises, and dedicates time to reflection or planning before the day begins. These routines aren't just about productivity, they're acts of self-discipline that set the tone for everything else. By controlling their habits, Stoic leaders ensure they're not swayed by distractions or impulses. They remain focused on what truly matters, even when the world around them feels chaotic. So, how can you strengthen your discipline as a leader? Start by identifying the areas where you feel most vulnerable to temptation or distraction. Is it your schedule, your reactions under pressure, or your ability to stay consistent with long-term goals? Once you've pinpointed these, create small, manageable steps to address them. Maybe it's setting aside 10 minutes each morning to plan your day or practicing a pause before responding to a difficult email. Discipline isn't about perfection, it's about progress. And every small step you take builds the resilience and focus needed to lead with strength and grace. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The art of living is more like wrestling than dancing, because an artful life requires being prepared to meet and withstand sudden and unexpected attacks." This idea captures the essence of adaptability, a cornerstone of Stoic leadership. Stoicism doesn't teach us to resist change, but to embrace it, to flow with it while staying anchored in our principles. A Stoic leader understands that rigidity can be a weakness, while flexibility, when paired with integrity, becomes a strength. Take, for instance, a modern leader navigating a crisis. Imagine a CEO whose company faced a sudden market collapse. Instead of panicking or clinging to outdated strategies, they reassessed the situation, shifted their focus to new opportunities, and led their team with calm resolve. This leader didn't abandon their values, they adapted their approach to align with reality. That's the Stoic way, recognizing what's within your control, adjusting your sails to the winds of circumstance, and moving forward with purpose. Adaptability isn't about losing yourself in the chaos. It's about finding new ways to stay true to who you are while responding effectively to the demands of the moment. So ask yourself, how can you become more adaptable in your leadership? What small shifts in perspective or action could help you navigate challenges with greater ease and resilience? What does integrity mean to you as a leader? It's not just about doing the right thing when others are watching. It's about aligning your actions with your principles, even when no one is there to see. This is where Stoicism offers profound guidance. The Stoics believed that integrity isn't negotiable. It's the foundation of a life well lived and a leadership style that inspires trust. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, wrote extensively about the importance of honesty and transparency. He argued that a leader's strength lies not in their ability to command, but in their willingness to live in accordance with their values even when it's difficult. Consider the example of Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor who led with unwavering integrity. Despite holding immense power, he refused to let it corrupt his character. He saw leadership as a duty, not a privilege, and he approached every decision with a commitment to fairness and honesty. His actions weren't driven by the desire for praise or recognition. They were rooted in a deep sense of responsibility to his people and to himself. So, how can you ensure your leadership reflects your values? Start by asking yourself, What principles matter most to me? Is it fairness, honesty, accountability? Once you've identified them, the next step is to make them the compass for your decisions. This might mean having tough conversations, admitting mistakes, or standing firm when others pressure you to compromise. Integrity isn't always the easiest path, but it's the one that builds lasting respect and trust. Think about your own leadership journey. Are there moments where you felt out of alignment with your values? What small steps can you take today to lead with greater integrity? Remember, leadership isn't about perfection, it's about progress. And every step you take toward aligning your actions with your principles strengthens not only your character, but also the trust others place in you. Picture this, a small, humble classroom in ancient Rome where Epictetus, a former slave-turned-philosopher, sits among his students. He doesn't just teach them about Stoic principles, he embodies them. His life becomes a living lesson in resilience, humility, and the power of self-mastery. This is the essence of mentorship in Stoicism. It's not about lecturing or dictating. It's about leading by example, showing others how to navigate life's challenges with strength and grace. Stoic leaders understand that their influence extends far beyond their own actions. They recognize the responsibility to guide and uplift those around them. Mentorship in this context isn't about wielding authority or seeking recognition. It's about creating a space where others can grow, learn, and flourish. A Stoic mentor doesn't just share wisdom, they inspire others to cultivate their own. Take, for instance, a modern leader who invests in their team's development. Imagine a CEO who doesn't just focus on quarterly profits but takes time to coach junior employees, helping them build confidence and skills. They might share tools for managing stress, like journaling or reflection, or encourage their team to focus on what they can control rather than fixating on external outcomes. This leader isn't just building a stronger team, they're fostering a culture of resilience and self-reliance, echoing the Stoic emphasis on inner strength. Mentorship in the Stoic tradition is deeply rooted in empathy and humility. It requires leaders to listen, to meet others where they are, and to offer guidance without judgment. It's about creating trust and showing others that they, too, have the capacity to lead with virtue. So, here's a question to reflect on. How can you mentor others with a Stoic approach? What small, intentional actions can you take to guide those around you, not just through words, but through the way you live and respond to challenges? The ripple effect of such mentorship can be profound, shaping not just individuals but entire communities. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You will never have to experience the frustration of trying to impress people you don't like or respect." This simple yet profound idea speaks to the heart of what it means to lead with both confidence and humility. Arrogance, as the Stoics warned, is a trap, a distraction from the true purpose of leadership, which is to serve and guide others. But how do we strike that delicate balance between believing in our abilities and remaining grounded in the reality of our limitations? Stoic leaders understand that confidence isn't about proving superiority. It's about trusting in your capacity to make thoughtful decisions and act with integrity. At the same time, humility reminds us that we don't have all the answers, that every person we lead has something valuable to teach us. Think of George Washington, a leader who embodied this balance. After leading the American Revolution, he could have easily clung to power, but he chose to step down, demonstrating both confidence in his legacy and humility in recognizing the importance of a greater system beyond himself. So, how can you cultivate this balance in your own leadership? Start by reflecting on your strengths and weaknesses honestly. Confidence grows when you acknowledge your abilities, but humility keeps you open to growth and learning. Practice gratitude for the contributions of others, and remember that leadership is not about standing above but standing with. This dual focus on self-assurance and self-awareness creates a foundation for leadership that is both strong and graceful, just as the Stoics envision. Even Stoic leaders need rest. It might seem counterintuitive, especially when we think of Stoicism as a philosophy of endurance and resilience. But rest isn't a sign of weakness, it's a strategic tool for clarity and strength. The Stoics understood that constant action without reflection leads to exhaustion, not excellence. In fact, Seneca, one of the great Stoic thinkers, wrote extensively about the value of leisure. He saw it not as idleness but as a vital space for recharging the mind and gaining perspective. For Seneca, rest was a way to step back, evaluate one's actions, and ensure that the path forward was aligned with wisdom and virtue. Think about it, a leader who never pauses risks losing sight of their purpose. They might become so caught up in the demands of the moment that they neglect the bigger picture. That's why Stoicism places such importance on reflection during periods of rest. It's not just about physical recovery, it's about mental and emotional renewal. Imagine a leader who takes a day off to disconnect from the noise of decision-making. That time away allows them to return with fresh insights, a calmer demeanor, and a clearer vision for their team. Take, for example, a CEO who schedules regular breaks throughout the year, not just to avoid burnout but to reflect on their leadership style. During these moments of rest, they might ask themselves, am I leading with integrity? Are my actions aligned with my values? These questions, asked in solitude, can lead to profound shifts in how they approach their role. Rest, in this sense, becomes a catalyst for growth, not a pause in progress. So, how can you incorporate rest into your leadership routine? It doesn't have to be a week-long retreat, though that's great if you can manage it. Even small, intentional breaks can make a difference. Maybe it's setting aside an hour each week to disconnect from technology and reflect. Or perhaps it's simply taking a walk after a challenging meeting to clear your mind. The key is to see rest not as a luxury but as a necessity, a non-negotiable part of leading with strength and grace. After all, how can you guide others effectively if you're running on empty? Rest isn't just for you, it's a gift to those you lead. How do you lead when the future is unclear? It's a question every leader faces at some point, whether in business, community, or even personal life. The Stoics, however, offer a timeless approach to navigating uncertainty, one rooted in calmness, clarity, and preparation. At the heart of this philosophy is the idea that while we can't control external events, we can control how we respond to them. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king, famously wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This wisdom is a cornerstone for leaders who must make decisions even when the path ahead is shrouded in fog. Stoic leadership in uncertain times begins with a focus on the present moment. Instead of being overwhelmed by what might happen tomorrow, Stoic leaders ground themselves in what they can do today. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself to concentrate on the task at hand, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant. By breaking down challenges into manageable steps, leaders can maintain clarity and avoid the paralysis that comes from overthinking the unknown. It's not about ignoring the future, but about preparing for it by acting decisively in the here and now. Consider the example of a CEO navigating a sudden market downturn. Rather than panicking or rushing into hasty decisions, they might take a Stoic approach by first assessing what they can control, whether it's cutting unnecessary expenses, reassuring their team, or identifying new opportunities amidst the chaos. By staying focused on actionable steps, they lead with both strength and grace, inspiring confidence in those around them. This ability to remain composed under pressure is what sets Stoic leaders apart. So, how can you lead more effectively in uncertain times? Start by practicing what the Stoics called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of challenges. This isn't about dwelling on worst-case scenarios, but about mentally preparing for them. By envisioning potential obstacles and planning your responses, you reduce the fear of the unknown. Next, cultivate a habit of reflection. At the end of each day, ask yourself, what did I control today? What could I have handled better? This practice not only builds resilience but also sharpens your ability to adapt when the unexpected arises. Leading through uncertainty isn't about having all the answers, it's about being steady, thoughtful, and prepared to face whatever comes your way. And in doing so, you not only guide others through the storm, but also demonstrate the profound strength that comes from Stoic wisdom. Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." At the heart of this statement lies a truth every Stoic leader understands. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's the ability to act in spite of it. Stoicism teaches us that leadership isn't about avoiding challenges or seeking comfort. It's about facing adversity with unwavering resolve and clarity. A Stoic leader doesn't wait for the perfect moment or the easiest path. Instead, they step forward even when the road ahead is uncertain or fraught with difficulty. Take, for example, a modern leader who stands firm in their values, even when it's unpopular or risky. Imagine a CEO who refuses to cut ethical corners despite pressure to meet quarterly targets. Or a community organizer who speaks out against injustice, knowing it might invite backlash. These leaders embody Stoic courage. They don't let fear dictate their actions. Instead, they focus on what they can control, their principles, their decisions, and their commitment to doing what's right, no matter the cost. But courage in leadership isn't just about grand, public acts. It's also in the small, everyday choices, having the difficult conversation, admitting a mistake, or making an unpopular decision because it's the right thing to do. These moments test a leader's resolve just as much as the headline-grabbing ones. And here's the thing, courage isn't something you're born with. It's a skill you cultivate, one decision at a time. So let's pause and reflect. What fears are holding you back from leading more courageously? Is it the fear of failure, of criticism, or perhaps of stepping out of your comfort zone? Stoicism reminds us that fear is natural, but it doesn't have to control us. The question is, how will you choose to respond? Marcus Aurelius, one of history's most renowned Stoic leaders, didn't rule the Roman Empire alone. He surrounded himself with trusted advisors, recognizing that even the wisest leader benefits from the collective wisdom of others. This principle, rooted in humility and trust, stands at the heart of Stoic leadership. A Stoic leader doesn't see collaboration as a weakness but as a strength, understanding that a team's combined efforts can achieve far more than any individual. It's not about micromanaging or controlling every detail. It's about fostering an environment where everyone feels valued and empowered to contribute. Take, for example, a modern leader who embodies this philosophy. Imagine a CEO who actively seeks input from her team, listens without judgment, and makes decisions with the collective good in mind. She doesn't shy away from difficult conversations but approaches them with respect and clarity, ensuring that every voice is heard. This kind of leadership builds trust and creates a culture where people feel safe to take risks, share ideas, and grow together. It's not about being the smartest person in the room, it's about creating a room where everyone's intelligence can shine. So how can you apply this to your own leadership journey? Start by reflecting on your approach to teamwork. Do you trust your team enough to delegate meaningful tasks? Do you actively seek their perspectives, even when it challenges your own? Stoicism teaches us that true strength lies in recognizing our limitations and leaning on others when needed. It's about building bridges, not walls. By fostering collaboration and trust, you're not just creating a stronger team, you're cultivating a space where everyone, including yourself, can thrive. What steps can you take today to strengthen those bonds and lead with both strength and grace? What kind of legacy do you want to leave as a leader? This is a question that Stoic leaders have asked themselves for centuries, and it's one that can guide us toward a deeper understanding of what it means to lead with strength and grace. Stoicism teaches us that leadership isn't just about achieving immediate results or gaining recognition in the moment. It's about building something that endures, something that continues to inspire and serve others long after we're gone. This focus on long-term impact rather than short-term gains is at the heart of Stoic leadership. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, often wrote about the importance of living a meaningful life. He believed that true fulfillment comes not from fleeting pleasures or external achievements, but from contributing to the greater good in a way that outlasts our own time. For a leader, this means making decisions that aren't just beneficial today, but will create a foundation for future generations. It's about planting trees under whose shade you may never sit, as the old saying goes. Take, for example, Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher. His legacy wasn't defined by the battles he won or the wealth he accumulated, but by the way he governed with wisdom, humility, and a deep sense of duty. Even in the face of immense pressure and power, Marcus Aurelius remained committed to his principles, striving to lead in a way that prioritized justice and the well-being of his people. Centuries later, his writings in Meditations continue to inspire leaders around the world, proving that the impact of a Stoic leader can transcend time. So, how can you lead in a way that leaves a lasting, positive impact? It starts by asking yourself what truly matters, not just for today, but for the years and decades to come. What values do you want to embody? What kind of example do you want to set for those who will follow in your footsteps? By aligning your actions with these deeper questions, you can begin to craft a legacy that reflects the best of Stoic leadership, one rooted in integrity, purpose, and a commitment to something greater than yourself. Let's bring this journey full circle. Throughout this video, we've explored how Stoic philosophy offers timeless principles for leading with strength and grace. At its core, leadership in the Stoic tradition is about emotional mastery, learning to respond rather than react, to remain steady even in the face of chaos. It's about focusing on what you can control and letting go of what you cannot, a principle that frees you from unnecessary stress and empowers you to act with clarity. And above all, it's about leading with virtue, aligning your actions with wisdom, courage, justice, and self-discipline. But here's the thing, Stoic leadership isn't a destination. It's a journey. Every challenge, every decision, every moment of doubt is an opportunity to grow. As Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king himself, once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this and you will find strength. This simple yet profound reminder calls us to focus on our inner development, to cultivate the kind of leadership that inspires others not through force, but through integrity and resilience. So, as we wrap up, I'd like to leave you with a question to reflect on. What's one area in your leadership where you can apply these Stoic principles? Maybe it's practicing emotional mastery during a high-pressure situation, or perhaps it's staying grounded in your values when faced with uncertainty. Whatever it is, remember that growth happens one step at a time. If this video resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Share in the comments how you plan to bring Stoic wisdom into your leadership journey. And if you're eager to dive deeper into these ideas, don't forget to subscribe for more insights on how Stoicism can help you lead with strength and grace. Until next time, keep striving, keep growing, and remember, the best leaders are those who never stop learning.